The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Morris Media Live, and I'm Brenda. And today I have a new co-host because Kim is out of state at her daughter's graduation. Congratulations to Amber. And we have Khadijah Hall here today, my daughter. And so she's going to sit in with me, and we're going to have a good time. Kim, on safe travels back home. Congratulations to Amber. I'm so proud of her, complete her mission, and just doing what she's supposed to be doing with her life is beautiful. Miss you, Kimmy. But here we go.
Hi, guys. My name is Khadijah, and I'm so excited to be here on behalf of Kim. And again, congratulations to Kim's daughter graduating college. Always an exciting time. And yeah, so I'm happy to be here at Morris Media with the ladies' room.
And we live. Okay, so how was your week?
My week was pretty good, productive. What did I do? This past weekend, I went out with some friends. We went out. This week, I worked. That's pretty much it. You know?
Oh, okay.
Same old.
Oh, okay.
Being productive, going after that bag.
Chasing that bag.
Secure the bag. Secure the bag.
Exactly. I had an interesting night last night. I went out with Quay, which is my son, my middle son. He has a vegan food
She has
stand.
a lot of kids, if you guys didn't know.
And he has a vegan food truck. And so I went out with him last night to assist him. I was supposed to be assisting him, but by the time I got there, it was popping so much. And so I wind up in the Falls, which was on 6th and Spring, and it's a cocktail lounge where they have like live music or they have a DJ there, but it was popping. I was so shocked at downtown how exciting it was. It's the transformation happened. The people are now living in those lofts down there, and they're really expensive because one couple told me they live there is $3,000.
Yeah, I actually went there a week ago, and I was shocked, one, because the homeless population down there, and I'm not usually in that area. I mean, I go down there for particular things, but majority of the time I'm not really in that part of LA. And I went down there last week, and I was like, oh my God, this is the one place where the poor and the wealthy come together. Okay. You know, so like you have people there that do have money, they're out eating dinner, they're, having a good night, and then on that same block you have, homeless people. So it was really interesting to me, like, that's the one area where
they're combined.
You get a little bit of both.
Right. But what happens with the homeless is that what's happening with them is that they're relocating them. Yeah. I spoke with an officer last night, actually, in regards to that, and they said that they're moving them to City Hall where they do have shelter. They do have where they can take warm baths, 3 meals a day, programs that are available to them. But one of the problems that I recognize with the homeless is that they don't want to follow, not all of them, not generalizing, but a lot of them do not want to follow the rules, what it takes to get your life back on track, which is being put into a situation where you cannot be out after a certain time, you cannot be drug affiliated. And that is the stifling for them. That's the stumbling block for them not to move progressively with their life because of drug addiction or other things.
It's actually a really good idea to move them into a place where that they could be successful, kind of turn their life around in a way.
Yes.
So I actually think that's a good idea.
No, it is. It is. But they're trying to really do that because the rich it's regenification down there as well. They want them out. So they're
so basically now the government all of a sudden see that it's revenue that could be generated even more in that area. So now they want to help the homeless, even though the homeless have been there for
years and years.
Yeah.
Remember when you were little and we rode down? We took you guys to Skid Row.
I don't remember. I don't even remember. Honestly, I just said recently.
Okay. But when you guys were little, we would drive you down there just so you could see the different lifestyles. And we would go from the homeless off of 6th and Mateo all the way to Bel Air just to show you that if you strive in this life, these are the options. And
you have a choice.
You have a choice.
You can be in this area or you can be in this area.
But it's all your choices that you make. But the other thing I want to say about the homeless and the tents, I found out that the tents is really a place of security for them, because the officer told me that they cannot go into those tents at all without a search warrant.
So they can't go into the homeless people tent on the side of the street because they still do have rights. And basically that is their area, so they can't go and search and seize whatever they want without having a search warrant. I believe that makes sense in a way.
Because they say it's shelter. Because it could be children in there. It could be... No, really, that's what he told me. And he said the main dope traffickers in L.A., what they do is they come down to that area, they set up tents. But they don't know where the tent is, which tent is a tent with the dope dealer in it. And it's like it's his job to come there early in the morning, and then when it starts getting dark, then he leaves.
And this is the dope dealer.
The dope dealer. This is what the officer told me.
And downtown LA, where the homeless people are.
Where the homeless people are.
But I do believe that because a lot of those people are homeless due to that reason, drugs.
Right.
So...
And although it was I
didn't know it was that strategically set.
Yes.
But
it is. And it's severe as it is. But I want to say that to close out that topic is that I had a great time. There were just...
Even seeing all those homeless.
But they didn't really... You know what? It was an art show. They had the Walk of Art yesterday. Mm-hmm. And so all the artists were out showing their... selling their paintings, selling their jewelry, selling whatever. And it was just up and down both sides of the street. And it was really, really beautiful because you ran into a lot of artistic people that have a lot of skills and a lot of beautiful work. They had a live band outside playing Christmas music in a little park area. It was really, really nice. Mm-hmm. But when it started getting really late, and I say really late, probably about 2, and it was still going on. I mean, it was still happening. So around 2 o'clock, the homeless started really coming and appearing. And the most disgusting thing to me, and no disrespect to their condition, because it could be anybody at any time, just depending on your mental state and what's going on. I'm not knocking that. But just to be right up in my face with a cup, without no shame, did not care, asking me for money. And then my whole thing about that is, I'm going to ask you first.
You're going to ask the homeless person first?
Yes. I told the homeless person I'm 50 cents short. And if they gave me 50 cents, then they'll get a few bucks. Because that means that you're willing to give what you're willing to ask for.
So you're seeing the kindness in their heart. If it's still there.
If you're really there, if that's really the deal.
If you really need it, what's the circumstance?
Yes. No, I need 50 cents. And if you can't reach in that cup and give me 50 cents, then I can't give you $3.
But if they do give you the money,
I will give them the money, because I believe that no matter who you are, where you are, your ability to give, your willingness to give, that's something that's beautiful in any condition for us to give anything, because, it's very difficult to have people give. So I said, okay, I'll give up money if you can give me, I'm 50 cents short on my drink. Can you give me 50 cents? Walked off mad and angry.
Did anybody give you the 50 cents last night? You didn't receive any money last night from any of the homeless people.
And they have money in their cups.
Well, I'm sure they were looking at you like, well, you have clothes on your back, your hair look nice, your nails are done.
All that.
So they were like...
And I understand all that too. But my whole concept is simply this. Do not ask for what you're not willing to give. And I don't care what it's in.
Or what condition or state you're in your life.
Because if you have enough sense to walk up to me and ask me for my money, then you have enough sense to know that I might be in need as well. Because I'm sure when you first got there, you looked like me. Yeah. So there's a transformation. Something went wrong, and now there's a transformation. But just be willing to give and have a great attitude. Even if they would have walked away and said, ma'am, I really don't have it, or anything like that. But
just to have a mean attitude.
Every single one of them instantly, the minute I said no, turned up, rolled their eyes.
They were ready to go to war with you over that, huh?
I was like, this is totally insane.
Well, aside from the homeless, and it's so sad to say because we could just look past it so easily.
Yes. Like a lot of other things in our life.
True. But I don't want to get Morris Media and the Ladies Room off their program. I know you guys do a Woman of the Week every week. You know, and I would definitely love to keep you guys' tradition going. So I'm going to start with my Woman of the Week. And my Woman of the Week is my beautiful mother, Brenda Bradford. Oh my God. And she don't only get this title just because she's my mother, but she gets this title because she's also my best friend, but also because literally everyone that comes into her life, she treats the same way. She uplifts, she encourages, she pushes. And it's so hard to get that sometimes in the world, to get people to just have that energy, that same energy to encourage you. You know, everybody say like, nobody want to hear you doing good. Nobody want to see you doing good. But she's truly somebody that wants to see me doing good, my friends doing good, anybody around me doing good, or anybody she even cross paths with. She's always, you know, giving encouraging words, and it's so appreciative in the world we live in at this time, because it's hard to find. So I really wouldn't be where I am, as strong as I am, if it really wasn't for the support of my mom. So she is my Woman of the Year every year. And I love her. So, yeah, so that's my Woman of the Week.
Oh, my God. Thank you, Khadijah. You know I'm on the air. Why you want to make me all teary-eyed, okay?
I had to let them know.
No, I love you. I really do. I thank you so much, because I know it's real.
Of course.
You know, anytime I get a call in the morning, good morning, Sprinkles.
Yes, anytime I call my mom, I call her and say, good morning, Sprinkles, because literally she lights up my day. So I like to light up hers.
She does. And I really appreciate your calls in the morning, and I appreciate who you are as well. I appreciate the woman that you are becoming. I appreciate you sharing your experiences with me. And I'm just like, oh my God, overwhelmed, because it's coming out of your mouth, which I always hear good things, but I appreciate that so much. I really do. Now, my Woman of the Week, I chose Harriet Tubman. Nice. I chose Harriet Tubman because she did something for us that we will not do for ourselves in 2018. Free ourselves, free our minds, free our money, utilize our money in an appropriate way. Whatever it took for her to free slaves, she did it. I mean, she had assistance, but
it took one person to get it all started.
That's it.
And that was her.
Her one dream. And she ran, she said if she could free 1,000 slaves, but what she couldn't do was make them recognize that they were slaves. And that was really deep. Like, so
she freed 1,000 slaves.
And she wanted to free 1,000 more. But they didn't recognize that they were
even in slavery.
That they were even a slave.
They couldn't grasp the concept that
we could be free. We could get away from this. We don't have to take this torture. We don't have to live under these conditions. But we also have to say on the side of the slave is simply that, how would you know it was anything else if that's all you knew? If you were born into it and that's all you knew. It's just like, when Christopher Columbus said he was discovering America fakely, he thought the world was an edge, that you're going to fall off riding the river.
But someone had to go explore it.
Yes.
And someone before him had to go explore America, or wouldn't have never been America.
Exactly.
So it was here. It just wasn't maybe
developed.
Territorized
the way it is
of what part was America.
Exactly. It was developed, but that was her. And when I read that, it brought tears to my eyes, because we're now living in a society where we're still enslaved mentally. Not everybody. I'm not general putting everybody in the same pack, but I've read across enough people and enough minds to see that we need work. From our educational system to our finances to us just being able to recognize the importance of supporting each other in a big way.
How do you think the education system has changed from when Harriet Tubman was freeing those slaves, from your time to now?
Okay. So I think I spoke on this once before. They started off in my time.
Well, before your time, with no education.
With no education, they did really well. Once black people were out of slavery and they recognized we can work, we can buy property, we can do this and that. My dad was like 65 years old and he didn't know how to read, but he owned 3 houses. And here we are, super educated with degrees and own very little. and even don't really even understand the whole process of ownership and what that means.
And not to cut you off, but, as you guys know, I am a real estate agent. I do real estate. And sometimes it's so hard I'm not pro, anything, but I do try to give education and information to people of minorities. And sometimes it's really hard to stress to them. Like, I'll tell them, I'm saying, hey, you're paying $2,500 in rent. You've been paying this for 3 years. That's a mortgage. It's multiple programs that you can get involved in where you don't have to put a down payment. You don't have to worry about your credit. And literally, they will just go back to paying rent. So I'm not sure if it's fully a mindset or, like you said, it's conditioned. This is all they know. People in their family might not own property or whatever the case is. But I think it is hard sometimes to get to that barrier of trying to tell them, look, what you're doing right now will get you nowhere. You're paying rent. At the end of this lease, you're going to have nothing. Where you could take that, invest in yourself, have property, build equity, and that could be something that you'll leave to your children, your great children, or whoever, because at the end of the day, you'll always need a place to stay.
No, absolutely. And I'm in agreement. I'm a real estate agent as well. And I'm faced with the same problem all the time. Right now, I have a gentleman with an 800 FICO score. Been on the job 21 years.
Wow.
Have capital saved, $100,000, make over $100,000 a year. He pays $2,500 a month for rent, and I cannot convince this brother to purchase him a home. And that's sad. It's sad. It's not for the commission because the purchaser does not pay my commission. Yeah. It comes from the seller. But at the same time, it would put you in a better position, more space, more room, and you can see where your money is going. Yeah. But it's a mindset. That's what
it really is. Not to be mean. That's why I do work in Calabasas, because the people in that area, they already know what they want. They know that they want to buy property. They know the importance of buying property. Compared to, I remember me and my mom, we did like a week of, okay, we're going to go and help in Compton area as far as trying to help them and learn the importance of getting property. And they act like I was going to rob them. Like me giving them information, they act as if I was going to rob them.
Yeah, that was a tough.
So I was just like, oh my God, like I'm here to help. Like you said, it's not about the commission. It's just about information, helping and showing you guys this is how you build a foundation. This is how you grow it for each generation after you, so that they could be in a better position. And they did not take well to me giving them that information. No, unfortunately.
I know that's a legacy that they can have. And I'm in agreement with that. I did an open house in Ladera, 1.5. So in doing the open house, you walk around the neighborhoods, you scout it out, you talk to the neighbors, you let people know that, the property value is going up. And I knocked on probably about maybe 15 doors before my open house. And I think I actually spoke to one black lady. And she said that she was an older black lady, had been living there well over 30 years. Her house is paid for. She said all her neighbors that passed away sold the property, the children sold the property instantly. And I have a friend that lives over there now. I think he bought it at $600,000 some years ago. It's now worth 1.7. And so that part of it, getting that, the importance of it, like you said, it is a generational thing. But they're doing regentrification over here because I did make contact with Yamamoto's, Chin, Schaefer's, all non-blacks that are moving into this prime area. But a lot of times our people don't even have enough information to actually even go to the planning committee. Because all these things are planned out in advance. The train going down Crenshaw, separating it, that didn't just happen overnight. That is something that has been planned. But because we ignore the facts, African Americans, not all of us, but a lot of us, we ignore the facts. And in ignoring the facts, we don't get all the information. Because there's no way those houses should have been sold in a prime location. But let's go back to the education. So when I was coming up in high school, there were so many things offered to us. We had the LVN program. We had
in high school.
It
wasn't an after program how it is now, or after college.
It was in high school. It was in high school. It was a COP program or something they offered. You would take 2 of your classes would go for your training. in that field. They had electricians, they had plumbers, they had just everything that could put you out in the world. If you were not college bound and you didn't want to go to a technical school, you had skills to come out of high school to get you a job. If that's all you wanted was a job, you would be able to do that. And it was taken out of the schools because that's part of the plan to deindustrialize it, give them less opportunity, less information, and dummy us down even more than already living in a mindset from 400 years ago. And people might think that sounds ridiculous, but it is passed on from generation to generation, not to strive, not to achieve. And there are a lot of people who are striving and achieving. Please don't misunderstand me, and no disrespect.
Just not enough.
Just not enough. Just not enough.
It's people out there that's doing well, and but it's not enough of us as much as it should be
at this point in 2018. So I want to say that part of it was really shocking to me, and I want to repeat this. Dad was 65 years old when he learned how to read, but he owned 4 houses, and here we are with college degrees all over the place and can barely own anything. So it's something wrong. It's a
disconnect.
There is a complete disconnect. Somewhere.
But this topic could go on.
Yes. And
for very long, so.
But we want to go into the educational system. Get your notes. Because we wanted to make a point about our society.
Yeah. All I think moving forward is, I think it starts at a younger age, honestly, for education. And I feel like, as a parent, I don't have kids, but I've studied child development, child psychology, a lot of different things dealing with the mind of children and how advanced children actually are when they're young up into the age of 6 is really where they retain as much information. And you kind of know at the age of 5, kind of as far as education level, where your child will kind of go. So I think it's really important for the parents to kind of take more control over their child's education at a younger age, so that once they are not even in school, even when you get in school, it should still continue at home. You have to understand that the main source of education is the parent, not the school system. The parents cannot look at the school system to be the main source of education or the primary source of education, because the school system is not set up, honestly, for you to succeed or be that educated, if that makes sense. So really it comes back to the parents. As far as I know, parents work, they have so many different things, single mothers, fathers aren't there, or single fathers. But at the end of the day, once you decide to have that child, it is your responsibility to make sure that child is set up for success. And from teaching that child from being young all the way up into an adult. It's not the school system job. The school system is just to back up and enforce extra education, but it's not the main source of education for the child.
Exactly. I believe that it is a partnership between the parent,
the family. Honestly, it takes a village.
It takes everybody. A village. But for the parent with their village and support system, the actual teacher and the child. But I want to go back to what you said in regards to the 1 to 5.
Oh, yeah,
from the learning from 1 to 5. And we are so behind because they're in kindergarten, they're talking about ABC. Mm-hmm. In kindergarten, we should be talking about 1 + 1, or we should be a little bit more advanced in reading.
Because at 1...
preschool.
Yeah, because
your ability to retain information, as you said, is between 1 to 5.
From birth.
So they can learn a lot more.
Actually from birth to 5.
Right.
Because they're retaining everything. They might not be talking at that time, but they see and hear everything. So
yes, so... we just need
They're learning at that point. They're trying to figure out what world are they in, what's happening, what's going on. So everything that they hear and see, they are retaining.
Exactly. They are, definitely. And I think it's important as parents that we do that we give them more information, that we become more involved. And although my children are grown, I do have grandchildren, and I try to implement that. They live a little distance from me, but I try to call my grandchildren daily and have them read to me over the phone. And I know that's, that's just my way.
Start somewhere.
You have to start somewhere. I do that.
That little bit of time is better than nothing. But I also wanted to jumping from such a serious topic to another serious topic, or not so serious topic. I love R&B music. So it's been a lot of talk about the R&B king, or who's the R&B kings, or whatever. And I haven't seen the R&B genre be this
adamant about
it. Together in I don't know how long. So to see all these men come out, I'm like, this is great. Why don't you guys all go on tour together? So it started with a young artist named Jacquees, I'm sorry. He made a video stating that he was the king of R&B now. He could have been his generation or as of now or whatever the case, but everybody else did not take well to this.
Okay.
Everybody's like, hold on, young brother. Like, you are not the king of this. Everybody jumped in, and I'm like, wait, this is a great thing. Maybe all these R&B kings could come together and do a tour or do something
positive and productive, because, there has been a slip in the R&B music. We're not getting that. They're now trying to classify it as pop.
Yeah.
And so that's what, that genre of music is fading away. So that's a good thing. The little guy came out and he
riled up the R&B. Yes. He got everybody back in, back.
We better hit the studio.
Talking about R&B. But I do want to ask, who do you think is the king of R&B?
Okay,
kings, because it is enough space for everybody. Back in the day, they had multiple kings of, so it could be multiple kings of R&B.
Okay, all right. Here's the thing: do we stick strictly to their music, or do we deal with their personal, or do we just say the music? Because their personal life, I know, but the personal life, it affects the mindset of how you view them after things come out. But I really did dug R. Kelly. Nobody could put In the Closet together the way this brother did.
My God.
And had the series going, and he brought in Ron Isley. And so I thought that was just a fantastic, fabulous idea.
Oh my God.
And I loved him for that.
I knew all 25 chapters.
And how old are you?
25 chapters.
But I thought he did an absolutely wonderful job with that. And he could groove you. He could groove you. And so I like R. Kelly. I would
definitely have to say R. Kelly is definitely the king of R&B, because I was young at the time, but I was definitely singing all his songs. I might not have known at the time what I was singing, but I definitely was singing all his songs. But then I think it's going to be a king for every generation or time period.
Right.
So I do feel like R. Kelly is the king at the top. First off, starting with the vocals, his category of music, the log that he has, the hits that he sold. So, I feel like he's earned that title of the king. Now, you could break it down to be Prince and other things or kings under him, and I think that will roll over to like Usher. I feel like Usher had a
really good rap.
Yeah, like he changed the game as well,
Yes, he did.
Dance, sing.
He did everything.
Yeah, he has a great catalog. Let it burn. I'm not going to sing because I can't sing, but I think it will have to go R. Kelly, Usher, and then for the next generation, you have like a Chris Brown, Trey Songz.
Okay, right.
So it does.
Generational.
Yeah, so I do feel like everybody's going to have a go-around to claim that title. Maybe this is his time, but I don't feel like he's put in enough work yet to classify himself as a king or topped, a Trey Songz or Chris Brown, even in this generation, or even made hits or have a log of music like R. Kelly and Usher.
Right. But here's the thing about that, though, the king of pop, because you said we can have multiple kings. The king of R&B, we can have multiple kings. But really, Michael Jackson was the king of pop, and nobody could replace that or take that.
No.
Aretha Franklin was the queen of soul, although Whitney had pipes.
Yeah.
And she could blow. She was really a beautiful singer in her early years.
So that's why I say it's multiple.
But it could be multiple. But here's that but. Everything before but, you know what
it
that
don't
means.
Matter.
It don't matter, okay? So let's get with the but.
It doesn't matter.
It does not matter. But let's get with the but. So, but the but is Aretha Franklin was the queen of soul. Period.
Some people aren't replaceable. You can't.
I know.
You can't
But
them.
once you get those titles
they don't go away.
They don't go away. That's for life.
So can it be?
No, it can't
be anyone under her.
Who? No, I'm just saying no.
Like R. Kelly, king of R&B. He's the king, top notch.
So we
top
need
dog.
princes, we need earls, prince, and dukes.
So where would you classify Usher? Because I feel like Usher has paved the way as well.
Well, I would say he's a prince. Not Prince, the actual singer Prince, but I would classify him as a prince. Then you have
so
Earls.
He can't have the title of king.
You just can't. It can only be one. It's only one king. Period. In society,
enough.
Okay, so
fair enough, but
I hear you, and I understand what you're saying because the transformation is good. transforming and giving that title over is really wonderful, because that means that you're not selfish and you understand that there are greats that are, yes, there are greats that are coming behind you. So that's important.
I think that that's something that they should realize, that it's enough room and platform for all of them to have that arena or whatever the case they want, king title.
Exactly. No, it is. It is. But here we go back, and I'm going to use this word because I've been throwing it around this morning. It's a mindset. Because really what should happen is all of the African-American singers, musicians, they should all create their own situation, which is going to be beneficial to them, and cut out the middleman, which is happening anyway. I think the middleman outsmarted themselves with computer music, because now you have all these other options and you have a whole lot of other things that you can do. But I believe that middleman that has been riding that throne for so long, that's the real king, because they're getting all the money.
True.
And so
that's why I feel like this could be a good thing for them all battling and winning the king titles. Like R&B hasn't really been R&B, and I'm not sure how long, but this is a way for them to come together. Like I said, put a tour together, do something productive,
really good, yes,
and reamp R&B. You guys all put out an album.
Exactly.
I don't know,
Bring it
something.
To us. No, that's real. I wish we could get that information to them, and that's a great idea. They really need to do that, because that's important. And then we can get that old soul music back, and we don't have to hear all the everything that we.
Well, I like my new music. They don't be talking about nothing sometimes, but
oh, what did you say? They don't be.
I said they don't talk about something.
Exactly. That's what I wanted.
But
to make
still,
sure.
you can still feel it from the beat.
Yeah, and that's a production. That's a producer producing a really wonderful beat, because. One of my favorite songs, I really just recently listened to the words, and I was really shocked. And I've been dancing and popping to this song forever, which was Blow the Whistle. Okay, but it's that beat. It's that beat. The beat just makes you move, and I think that's what music is supposed to do. It's supposed to groove you. That's why music is timeless. That's why it doesn't matter. One of the great things about music producers is that your music lives on long after you're gone. Yeah. I was listening to Nat King Cole the other day, and he's been dead forever. I listened to.
It's always here once you put it out.
And so
Tupac.
that's the whole thing.
People still say
Tupac. Oh my God!
Nobody I think the other day. I think what was it on social media? I think like Tory Lanez might have compared 6ix9ine. I don't know if you know him. He's a young
with all the tattoos and just stay forever.
He didn't compare their music together, but he kind of made a comparison as far as him going to jail, dropping his album, correlating that when Tupac went to jail, dropped his album, had the highest sales. So he kind of correlated that, but some people still felt like, no, that's too close. That's too disrespectful.
That's disrespectful.
And Tupac died, I think, when I was like 1.
Okay, exactly.
So, and I'm so
he's been dead a long time.
Around that time in the early 90s.
Right. But here's the thing.
And his legacy has still been going on. And some people feel it's disrespectful to even compare. 1, because he's not here to defend himself. And 2, they felt Tupac put in enough work that he shouldn't be compared to anybody.
And see, there it is back. Now, that's similar to the king. Okay, nobody.
But then I also think it's simple-minded for everybody to think only one person could have the title of something.
Okay, that could be taken into consideration, that people could be simple-minded on that, but it's just the way it is. It's just like our government. It's the way it is.
No way around it.
Because Tupac did put in the work, and he was magnificent while he lived on this earth, and he left that thick, beautiful.
But at some point, someone is going to gain that title and do everything he's done.
Let the numbers do it. Let the numbers do it. Once the numbers do it, they don't lie. Statistics don't lie.
Hey, you guys don't beat me up. I love Tupac. I'm not going against him.
But those numbers and that whole vibe they don't lie. Yeah. And the whole thing too, I don't know 6ix9ine, but I've seen pictures of him. But I did have an opportunity to sit down with Tupac for 30 minutes. So I understood his pain. I understood what he was going through. I understood the choices that he had to make. And it wasn't easy for him.
What was that like? She had to sit down for 30 minutes with Tupac, guys.
Absolutely.
What the heck?
Yes, absolutely.
What the heck?
Yes. When he did the movie Juice. I worked at a restaurant called Larry Parker's. The older generation would know what that is.
I don't know nothing about that, guys.
No, you were in Larry Parker's in a carry-on, okay?
Back in my younger days.
Yes, I had you in there. Everybody loved you.
Tupac?
But it was absolutely wonderful. And he was open. He was honest. Let me tell you what he said about Janet Jackson. Because they did the movie Poetic Justice together as well.
Yes.
And so
classic.
Classic. But he told me, he said, Brand, she's fake. He did. I promise God, I would not put this out there about her because I love who she is, just from her history, her heritage, and everything. I love her. But he did. He told me the
true story.
He said that after they finished
while
Juice,
she tells this. Y'all don't be trolling me after this.
he said that after they did Juice, he said all during the movie she was his best friend. Call him at night. They talk, hang out, just have a really great time. The day the movie wrapped, he called her and her number was changed. So
they were cool around that time when they were getting that check together. But as soon as she got her funds, she got the bag, you guys. She secured that bag and said,
deuces, I'm
out.
And I was like, oh my God. That was like, really? And he said, yeah, true E! Hollywood story. He said that. But he was also very mentally developed.
Advanced.
Yes,
he was advanced.
He was totally beyond those songs that he was singing at that time. It really was about us. Mm-hmm. And there was really things that could really change our life if we listened and if we took heed and if we tried to enact some of the things that he talked about. He was a fabulous little dude. Mm-hmm. I mean, he got caught up.
Did you get to see the movie?
Absolutely.
Did you think, knowing that, you didn't know him that well, but still having that 30-minute conversation.
And seeing him huge. Occasionally coming through Larry's.
Yeah, so that's still really, really big. You're still in that environment, that was that circle. Do you think that movie in any way really correlated to his life?
I don't think anybody could ever touch the real of who he was and get to the depth of his soul of what he really projected. No. Because he was really deep, and our society was not ready for him. He was Congress people. Yes, he had everybody. He had. I remember her name was Dolores Tucker. I think she was a congresswoman.
Wasn't she the one going after him, his music?
Going after him hard and not understanding that this young black man has lived through these trials and tribulations and have really witnessed a lot. Everything
that was his testimony
to
his life, his music.
And instead of her embracing him and pulling him to the side, and even if you disagreed with him, that was a private conversation that we should have so that we can have that communication. And as a congresswoman, I felt that you have an obligation and responsibility to the community to be respectful. She
could have went about it a different way.
No, she could have went after some other major issues.
Yeah.
Tupac was not a major issue in regards to his life. What is he doing and all that? I think that health care. There were so many other things. Can you give us a commerce class? Mm-hmm. Can you talk to us about the voting rights and how to really vote and what it really means? Can you tell us what in the voting thing, the electoral votes mean? Give us that. Don't go after somebody that we love and care about dearly.
Yeah. It's way more, I'm sure it was way more corrupt politicians she could have been
all
attacking.
I'm saying.
But it's different. People hate when you're honest. So someone putting out that information or Tupac being honest about what he's going through, they rather you be quiet, hide it. They rather you lie, steal, and kill behind closed doors instead of you, kind of thing.
No, that's what it is. Exactly. It is.
It was too much for them to handle. The truth up front, it was too much. So they're like, oh, we have to get him, shut down. That's when people were setting him up, the rape charges, all that, everything to pull him down. Which is not true.
Even the interview with the girl 25 years later was awful. It was completely awful. Her life was destroyed because of that lie. And because what she did to another human, because the way she spoke, the things that she said, it just didn't make sense. And it definitely didn't add up.
I think the new rappers or even anybody in the music industry should kind of learn from the people that have paved the way, because you could really learn a lot. Like, even if you were to look into those contracts and things that Tupac was signing and didn't really know, you think you're really getting money. Like I see rappers, some of them are, but you get money, you buy these chains, you buy this, and majority of the time in the contracts that you're doing, they're taking that out of your portion of your money. So when it comes down to it, what you're really getting is not equivalent to the work and the music and the time that you put in.
Exactly. That's the whole thing. I'm not sure. Do you remember TLC?
Of course.
Okay, I'm just saying.
I was young in the 90s, but yes.
Okay. So I was TLC was on an interview, and I was reviewing an interview that they had done, and they were just straight out telling the truth. We're broke. We're not getting paid. We're getting ripped off. And with that being said, it's
still happening.
And that's what I'm saying. But they also say that if you put it in a contract or put it in a book, most African Americans are not going to read. Now, I don't know how true that is, but it is a saying that we have been living by for a long time. That's why I'm an advocate reader, because I refuse to fall into that. I'm still reading from Compton to Congress. Okay,
yeah.
But I'm just saying that I agree with what you said. Take the Temptations. George Clinton you were way too young for Parliament, George Clinton. But George Clinton, if we played a song, you would probably know who he is. Mm-hmm. But he was a fabulous individual. I mean, just artistically inclined, would rock any building, anywhere, just funk. Mm-hmm. But he is still fighting, and he has to be older than me because I was going to his concerts. He is still fighting for his contractual rights. They had him sign some crap he didn't get his royalties, none of that. And he was such a pivotal individual in our, becoming to hip hop and coming to where we are today. And our younger people have to learn from that. Like you said, learn from our history, learn from the past, but we will not. Martin Luther King went out there and did all that for what? Malcolm X died for what? Marcus Garvey was shipped back to Africa
for
what?
Something. I'm sure some people at that time, not enough, but some people picked up on something and it helped somebody in some way.
Yes,
or get certain people at that time out of situations that,
No, I'm not saying it didn't help anybody.
Just not enough.
But it's just that was your famous word. That's your famous words this morning. Not enough. so no, not enough. But all these great leaders, W.E. Du Bois, Frederick Douglass, all of these people put their lives on the line for us, and for us to be in 2018 and not be standing strong and tall, united. That just takes me back to our purchasing power. I think it's 1.7 trillion, if I'm not mistaken. And where is it going? Where is it going? I was talking to a young lady the other day. Yes, to the rich, they're getting richer because with our integration with King, we integrated with Caucasians and we took our money to them. They didn't come to the hood and shop. They came to the hood for the nightclubs, for the jazz scene, for the black men, but they didn't come to drop their money in there to make sure that our area was just as significant and as wealthy as theirs turned out to be. But also, it's just a lot of us not being on top of our game and not paying attention to our history, our rich, wealthy history, not acknowledging it enough.
I guess all that goes back to just educating yourself as much as you can, because at the end of the day, when they strip you from everything, whether it's what you have or anything, what they can't take from you is the power of the knowledge that you might gain. So only thing that I could advise is if whatever field that you're in, whether it's music, real estate, education, anything, is really just to educate yourself and learn that as much as you can so that no one could take it from you. Read those contracts. It's sad to say, but you really have to just educate yourself, because if you're going into a business deal with something, people could tell you one thing, but once you sign that contract, it's always something different. So you definitely always want to make sure you're reading in between the lines and not just signing your life away. Even, whether it's music or not, you're making that music, you're putting in all that time, and you deserve to get what you put in. So you got to make sure and secure yourself and everything. Because if you don't, no one's going to look out for you. You'll have a yes man. And everybody's like, especially when you're coming from nothing. And then they put you in a position, you're like, oh my God, money, this. That's all you see. But don't let that blind you from the fact of like your royalties, like you said.
Yes.
If you're putting out music, you should have your royalties. You should have, it's just certain things that you should have.
You become a brand.
And there's another thing, even not going back to the R&B of, kings of R&B, but it's like, instead of attacking this young man and saying he's not the king, let's see how we can help him and say how he can make better decisions and making sure he's getting his royalties, making sure that he's doing things, or R. Kelly, he's not in lawsuit battles or things that you are in.
Yes.
I think it comes to working together, and I just think that's something that people don't know how to do.
That was one of the things, because it's a me, I situation. Everyone wants to shine, and not understanding that if you shine, Khadijah, I'm shining. If I'm shining, you're shining. The one thing I do like about B, Auntie, is that I heard her say, if my family is not eating, if my family is not working, making money as I'm making it, then what good is all the money I'm making?
Jay-Z said, nobody wins when the family feud. I do think it is important to take care of yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself mentally, physically.
That's a whole nother situation, I think. You have to do that. Mm-hmm. You have to do that. But when it comes down to, now it's time to pull it together and let me educate somebody. All the old school people, the queens and kings, should have had a conference with all the new people and said, listen, they said Aretha Franklin died without a will. How do you be that powerful, the queen of soul, and do not have a will? Do you know that's probate? Do you know that they're going to take so much money away from your family, and not even having a will, but a living trust? You needed to have something. So we need to start educating our younger generation on what it is you have to do. With the entertainment company that I tried that. One of the main things I talk about is, do you understand the contract? Do you understand the royalties? Can you please read? I love that book. It's an introduction to music and everything that goes along with it. Mm-hmm. Read it. Understand it and know it, because I don't want anybody coming back to me telling me I cheated you or I did something wrong because you don't have the knowledge. Mm-hmm. So the very first step in the company is to educate. Very first step with my real estate business, before we do anything, once they're qualified, and I know that this is going to move, and then I give out free information anyway. But one of the very first things I do is I sit down with the client, I go over the complete contract, and I give them a copy. Please read it. Take notes. Any questions you have, let's go there before we even start this process. Mm-hmm. So that you understand what you're doing and you understand the magnitude of how this is going to affect your entire life. And I do that because I want them to be educated. Mm-hmm. I want them to understand things. I'm still learning a lot of things.
No one's never too smart to learn.
No, I'm still
learning.
Learn
something
There's
new.
Some things I wish I would have did even with my children. If I could do that
It's
all over
lot.
again, stop it. If I could do that all over again, one of the things I probably would have did was not ask you what do you want to be, or not even allow you to make a choice on your life.
Oh my God.
Because you don't know enough to make a complete life choice. What do you want? How do you know what you want if there's no experience, if you're not exposed to everything that is available to you?
All the options.
And so with that being said, I would have had a doctor, a dentist. I would have had everybody doing something that's functional in society that would help during the survival mode.
When something break out. Yes. She's thinking ahead. When something happens, she's like, I need a whole team. I need to make sure.
A whole team that our crew is taken care of, which meant a doctor, a lawyer, a dentist, all the things that we need in this society. Mm-hmm. Each one of my children should have been one of those things. But let me say, I am so proud of each and every one of you for all the decisions that you have made, because they have been good ones. Mm-hmm. They've been really good decisions. And so they could have been better. Because anything, new and improved? We can always improve. So, but we start with our grandchildren. We start with making sure that they understand what it is that they need to do. We make sure that, like you said, it takes a village to make sure that we give them everything that they need. And it's a lot. Because the more knowledge you have, the more information you gain, it gets really tough. Because now you start thinking, oh my God.
Trust me, my nephew, he doesn't even like to come hang out with me anymore, because before we have fun, I make him read. We'll read for an hour. So he's like, he debates, like, he's so smart and honest. He will be honest. He's like, I told him, like, I'm going to come pick you up tomorrow. We're going to hang out for the weekend. He's like, I'm going to go to my dad's house. And I'm like, well, you could just come hang out for a little bit. And then I end up telling him, like, you're going to really spend a night. And he's like, well, my dad just can't come pick me up. I have to stay the night. And then he was doing everything to get out of hanging out with me, because he know that I'm like, okay, we have to read first. It's had to be some type of curriculum before we can have fun. But then, of course, we always go we'll do something fun. Go to the park, Sky Zone, Chuck E. Cheese, whatever, he like. But he's like, I got to get through that reading and stuff first. And he's like, no, he does not want to.
It's between you and Quade that he does not want to hang out with.
And then I tell him my little brother is back in town who plays football. So he's obsessed with him. And I'm like, oh, he's back in town. He's like, oh, I'm coming. Okay, I'm like, a whole different mood. I'm like, oh, with me, he's debating and not really sure. He know he might get something, but he's like, I don't know if it's worth it. And then with my little brother, he's like, oh, no question, he's coming.
Because they like the same things. Because he plays football, Carell plays football, and they like the game, and he loves the game. And so this week told me he wanted for Christmas some op game or something. I'm like, it's so violent. Like, what are they training our children to do? Become assassins?
I know when we used to play Xbox when I was young, it used to be different games. I didn't play anything too violent, but it was, I don't remember what it was called, like Freezing Frenzy or something like that. Oh my God, we used to love that game.
So the question is, excuse me, but the question is he coming?
Yeah, I am picking him up today.
Okay, all right, okay.
It took a lot. It took a lot to get him to come, but he's gonna come hang out with me for the weekend.
Okay, so he'll probably, can I want to go to Mama's house?
Definitely.
You already know, but that's
He'll
awesome.
ditch me quicker than lightning.
I know, but after you get the hour reading it.
Yeah, you can leave me as soon as you get this hour read, get this study.
By that time, it's like, okay, I might as well just roll
stay
with
you.
The
Yeah,
rest of the day,
that's how I get him. Once I get
fun.
it out the way in the beginning, and then at the end, he's like, okay, now he he wants to be with me. But,
okay, that's cool. But
yeah,
they would let you know definitely what's going on. Definitely. You know, and I heard, what do you think Cardi B should do about her situation?
Oh my God, Cardi B, make money moves. I love her new song. Yeah, man, I thought her and Offset was gonna make it. They seem like they, were a good match. But sometimes, hey, man, they're not ready for the commitment. It's that simple.
So do you think she should run, or should she try to work it out?
It's tough. It's tough. They married, got a baby.
Run or work it out, because once you
only she really knows the true situation between her and Offset. So,
but what I'm saying that from what
me in a hot seat.
Yes, I am. What I'm saying is that with the knowledge that we have, whether it's not completely
I feel like
accurate,
if he's just wilding out, cheating, not coming home, he's really making you feel hurt and not yourself, then no matter the circumstances, you need to walk away from the situation.
Okay, we have a call.
So we're going to stop that. We're going to get back to Cardi B, but I do believe
where's the headphones?
There is a call waiting.
Yes, but I want to say this about her while we're waiting for the headphones, is that run. Because if he does it once and he gets away with it, then he's going to think it's okay to continue.
Yeah. And you just had a baby. You just got married. I feel like it's too early
but
for that.
He's going to feel like he can continue to do it.
Yeah.
And then once you let him get away with something, it's okay, we can work it out and all that. Yeah. They just continue to do the same thing over and over. Not everybody, but the majority. Okay, let's go there. The majority. Okay, so you got to put these headphones on. You can go this way. Okay. Yeah, like that. So if you don't want to mess your hair up. Hi, hello. So I don't know. I'm suggesting the run mode because she needs to know that she's worth what her value is as a woman, definitely. And showing other women that I love this man, but he's doing too much. Yeah.
Hello, hi.
Good morning. Welcome to the ladies' room.
Yes, welcome. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning. I want to piggyback off of what you were saying. When you were conversating, you said, well, what are they training our kids to do?
Mm-hmm.
Or what are they training our
as far as the video games?
No, just period.
Okay.
I'm just saying, what are they really training our young men to do and our young women to do?
Well, that's a good question. I think it's a lot of different things. One, I think, is to keep us uneducated. One, that's what they're training us to do.
Well, I think that the plan is, as I said earlier, first of all, dumb you down. That means giving you less information to make proper choices with. Second of all, we have so many other things that are taking our control of our children, from social media to the games to they're offering them sports. They're offering them everything that is
everything but education.
But I mean, we're still getting education. But you go and play football, like, okay, even with that, they go off to a junior college or a university and you play football. They don't get paid for it. The school is making millions of dollars off of them.
Even high school.
And they are not getting any of the revenue, and they could get injured and then it's over. So I don't think that they're being fair. I don't think that they are allowing them to grow in that area. And then with limited education, I think it limits our mindset. It limits our choices. It does not allow us to grow as we should.
Also the video games and the social media, because that's kind of dictating what you are getting exposed to, whether you're playing video games and violence or social media. Say if you only see gun violence or anything on social media, they're kind of dictating what your child is going to be seeing, doing, and putting different thoughts in their head. If you think, oh, it's so easy to shoot someone in a video game, it might be that easy to do it in real life. I don't know. We don't know how the kids might take that game, or how personal they might take it.
And the games are not educational. I couldn't find one educational game.
Excuse me. Can we take it up a notch?
To where?
Because what I was saying, like, what are they training our young men and our young women to do, as far as, like, I'm going to take it even farther as going to the U.S. Army, okay? They tunnel vision trainer, when they step back out here, how are they supposed to act, and what are they supposed to do if you to give them the proper training and the proper treatment?
That's a tough one. Because I know a young man that went to the Army. He was making straight A student. Right out of high school, he went to the Army. He came back from the Army and became a gangbanger.
Okay, so what are they training us to do? What are they training our young women and men to do? What are they?
I don't think we'll actually fully know the answer to that because that's something that they don't want us.
But we can look
know.
around society and we can see what they're training our children to become and do. And that's why what you spoke on earlier, Khadijah, saying that it is a parent's responsibility to take hold of your child. But then at the same tone, you have the working mother who has 2 jobs just to keep a roof over her head. You know, the rent is $1,700 and she has to work and no one's there guiding and putting the proper information into her children. So it's a tough one, and we're in a society where
you're set up to fail.
You're set up to fail.
So you have to be all odds and go above and beyond to make yourself and the people around you successful.
Right.
And even with, like you said, with the Army, when they do send them, a lot of those people that do sign up and come back, you know, a lot of them are traumatized, and it's not even programs and stuff to help them get back from where they were to reality now and figure out how to maneuver in the reality. You know, a lot of them, postpartum, you know, they have a lot of different things, you know, so I think that's just another way of kind of, you know, just throwing them off track, because that it's kind of hard to go from being in war, throwing bombs, killing people, and then come back to reality, which those things are still happening here, but to adjust to regular life and getting a job, you know?
Yeah, it's difficult.
When they come back, they're not feeling they haven't been treated in the mind so they can come
exactly
from killing people and doing what they were doing. Mm-hmm. They need treatment for all these gentlemen out here that's putting themselves on the line, the women as well, so they can be sober and productive. They might have them little skills, they might have the skills they gave, but if their mind is overwhelmed with shooting and killing, how can they activate those productive skills?
Well, you're making an excellent point, caller.
I definitely appreciate your call and your question, and I think that is something that, you know, we have to step up and say, hey, what's going on? What's happening? You know, and until we can come together as a people, it's going to, sadly, it's going to continue to happen.
Yeah, because we can take a stand, but multiple people need to really take a stand. Yeah. I mean, we can fight about it, but until we can have the whole army troop of all the guys that was affected, they need to be at Capitol Hill. They need to demand their rights like everybody else. You need to say, what are you offering me? We fight for your country. We did this, so we came back, and now we're bumming. We're homeless. We're on the streets. It's just not right.
And I knew someone that they had no choice but to go back. They had to go back because they had nothing else.
And my story at the end of the day is mental health awareness. They need to be aware of that. And they call it PTSD. You know what I'm talking about. And they put a name on it like that, but basically it's a mental setting they're not ready to deal with society now.
Okay, and so we could say, I believe, which president was that shut down all the mental, I think it was Reagan, that shut down all the mental facilities and put these people out on the streets. So our U.S. government is not working for the government. They're not working for us. They're not making sure that our people are being taken care of properly. But that's, again, a mindset because we allowed them to have that much control over our lives instead of taking a stand and saying, let's set this up. Like, who was that? Black Wall Street, how they were set up. But they were set up and then they got bombed. So it's
in Oklahoma, yeah.
Yes, over in Oklahoma, you know, African American people were over there just creating a whole life for themselves, making sure that they sustain themselves, and they were bombed and killed.
I believe it was in the early 90s. They went from having 35 black-owned banks to 153, and they all got burned down, bombed. Right. You know, so
they want us in a state of mind, and we can say, who is they? Who is controlling all this?
Right.
You know what I mean? Is our government controlling all this? Who is they? And that's a good question.
Definitely the government is definitely in part because the government is actually controlling what we learn, what we see, the new, you know, all that is all tied in together.
Messing with your mental.
Yeah.
But I hear what you're saying for the mentally disturbed people. I mean, we could look into
even the homeless people. I feel like, you know, some of them have mental
illness.
Yeah, yes. Illness that needed to be dealt with, and it wasn't dealt with in that way. It was more dealt in a criminal way. These people are criminals, you know, instead of realizing that, no, these people actually need help, mental help.
And I do want to say there are programs out there that can help people. You have to search for it. You have to really do a little digging, and then you have to utilize the resources that are available because there are resources available. But thank you, caller. I appreciate the call. Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning into the ladies' room.
Live, Morris Media. Thank you.
Have a lovely day.
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you so much. But it's true. You know, it's true. It's just so many topics and there's so many issues. There's so many things to be addressed and that we need to stand up for.
Mm-hmm. So do you think what Kanye West said on TMZ about, well, I don't know if he technically said slavery is a choice, but
I feel like anything Kanye say is going to be taken out of content. He was
just
really smart.
He went for Trump,
yes. He was a really smart dude. You know, he has some direction, but I don't know. They say he fell into the Kardashian curse. That's what I heard. So I don't know how true
What's
that is.
What's the curse?
Every man they touch, something happens to him. You know, they turn
I love Kanye West, though.
And I think he's smart and intelligent. But
I think it's just the way he articulates himself and the timing.
And I think if his mom was still here, that it would be a whole different outcome. I think the Kardashians...
Like Snoop Dogg said, he need a woman, what he said? I think he said a black woman.
Yes, he did. He said he need a sister in his life. He needs somebody to seven.
They always say we got that attitude.
Okay, that attitude needs to flourish. But I think anybody that dips into, and I'm not saying taking anything away from Kris Kardashian, but
Kris is a boss.
No, she is a boss. But all the men that fall up under her boss, her children, they all wind up. I mean, one man turned into a woman. Another man was a drunk. Another man's career was over. I mean, it just really don't look good. Okay, but we can't say. That's just circumstantial because I'm sure they're really beautiful, good people, and like everybody else.
I do like Kanye West and Kim Kardashian together. When they first got together, I knew. I was like, oh, they going to be.
But then I don't know. I think he started taking them pills. They convinced him he had some type of disorder. Get on these pills, and then I don't know. But I want to say Kylie and
Travis.
And Travis.
I like them too.
Kylie is a Jenner, so she doesn't fall up under that.
She's a different breed.
She's a different breed. But
She's a different breed.
I wanted to say one last thing before we get off the air in regards to we have to support each other, and it's the same thing with Kylie's makeup and Rihanna's makeup. I heard a black girl tell me Kylie has more colors. I don't care how many more colors she has. Rihanna has colors. Let's pick what she has. Let's utilize.
Anybody can say what they want about Kanye West, but I probably have almost every pair of Yeezys. So I do support the black business.
Oh, yes.
I mean, if I could go spend money buying a Gucci bag, a Louis Vuitton bag, I'm getting almost every pair of Yeezys that come out.
Exactly, because we've been running.
Whether he support Trump or not, because those people that own Gucci, those people that own Louis Vuitton, they support him too, but they're just not out about it. So I could respect Kanye West in the fact of being truthful and living his health and having the freedom of speech, which we all do. And if he want to use his freedom of speech and express to us that he wants to support Trump, what's the difference from him doing it out publicly and someone doing it behind closed doors?
Yes, and I want to say us supporting Gucci and Louis Vuitton for years and years and years, it's ridiculous. But we're going to wrap it up, though, girl.
It was a pleasure to be here on the Ladies' Room.
Thank you, Khadijah. It was such a pleasure having you in Morris Media Live. I'm Brenda.
I'm Khadijah, you guys.
And we're
signing out.